Just do a weird little dance.
Sending data. Sending data. Sending data.
Okay, this is tiring.
All right, they're both online. Are you ready?
One of the definitions of drama is an exciting, emotional, or unexpected series of events or set of circumstances. And there was plenty of that in Westworld, Star Wars The Clone Wars, The Last Dance, and Extraction. But were they good? That's the only question that really matters on this podcast called Was It Good? I'm your host, Ravi, and I'm joined by my two brothers, Arjuna and Krishna. Real quick, guys, UFOs are real because the Pentagon released video of them, which is proof that nothing makes any sense anymore, including my hair, which I have named Bubbly Jubbly.
Wow, you nicknamed your hair Bubbly Jubbly. Arjuna, I did not know this.
Wow,
Actually, I did know this.
That's breaking news.
For those listening, those watching, I do not write my own intros. I have a talent ego so high, I force Krishna to write these poetic and interesting intros. Krishna, this is by far one of your better intros.
I felt inspired.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I do want to point out, though, that your hair from now on shall be known henceforth as Bubbly Jubbly.
Bubbly Jubbly. It sounds like an uncle. Like
Uncle Bubbly Jubbly?
Yeah, like you know, in our families, like our parents growing up in like Guyana and stuff, like they named each other weird shit. Like our dad's nickname is Pie, after like a pie.
Yeah. There's another. They had a relative called Cowhead.
Yeah.
$50.
$50.
Last
Doll
night's
Betty.
curry.
Yeah.
Last night's curry. Like
So
some
now
epic names.
I'm Bubbly Jubbly.
Your hair is Bubbly.
My hair is Bubbly
Yeah.
Jubbly.
Yeah.
Does
Wow.
that mean you're just Jubs?
Jubs
Ooh.
for short.
Yo, what up, Jubs?
Anyway, we're not talking about my weird-looking hair. We're talking Westworld. We're talking Clone Wars. We're talking Extraction. We're also talking The Last Dance. We're going to start with Westworld because
That's what we always do.
that's what we do. That's what we want to do. If you don't like it, add us at Was It Good on Twitter.
Yeah, tell us why we shouldn't, I guess.
But Westworld, Season 7, the second-to-last episode of Season 3, the show that Krishna has loved since day one. Krishna, let's start with you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have been a huge
Negative Nancy.
negative Nancy
For sure.
this entire time. How does Episode 7 fit into your negativity?
It was. I would say it was the best episode this season. They have been, despite my grumbling every week, in general trending up. I'm gonna say trending up. It's more like a very, very gradual incline. Okay, it's not like it's exponentially better than.
Oh, it's not
episode
like
one,
it's
okay?
not like the curve.
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's
flattening.
not. Yeah, it's not like it's
Oh.
not like an exponential curve. It's very much a very slow trot uphill.
Wow.
All right, and this is for me it was the high point
Oh, boy.
of the season so
Were you
far.
drinking beer
I'm not actually.
when you were watching the show?
I wasn't. I did not drink this episode. I also did not live tweet, and I have not done that the last 2 weeks, which, in my defense, I think has helped me enjoy the episodes a little bit better. I think I miss valuable information when I'm live tweeting, so that is a weakness of mine, which I should probably try and fix at some point. The episode was a little bit better. There were some interesting reveals. That being said, it hasn't blown me away, and the fact that this is episode 9 and it hasn't blown me away.
Well, it's episode 7.
Oh, episode 7. The second to last episode. I always think of the second to last episode as episode 9. Because I just think of everything as 10 parts.
10 parts.
Much like the Jordan doc that's coming up later. So yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
Wow. So Krishna, if it doesn't blow him away,
If
then
West, if
it's no
West,
good. It's
no,
no
no, and I will, we'll get to this later too with some other properties that we're about to mention. With Westworld, yes, I expect to be blown away because that is my experience with the previous 2 seasons, and this season hasn't lived up to that. Therefore, ipso ergo, it is disappointing.
You know, Krishna, previous versions of you used to be cool, and you haven't lived up to that standard in your age 32 year. So
See, that's a
therefore,
blatant lie. That's just a blatant lie.
Oh
There is
my
no
God.
previous version that is cool.
I mean, I kind of agree with Christian. This episode definitely didn't blow anything away. I also thought
It was interesting, right?
it was. I don't even know if I want to say it was interesting because it was a big just dump of, and it was an
Yeah.
info dump, right?
Yeah,
It was like I'm the
for sure.
machine. This happened.
Yeah.
Caleb's entire like flashback thing, which I think everyone kind of saw since episode 1, because it's the common kind of like narrator that you can't trust with these crazy flashbacks about a best friend, and it seemed very obvious from the very get-go that it was either all fake or he did it. He actually shot his friend. Arjuna, did you think that them showing us that he shot his friend, do you think the why was interesting, or do you think it was just kind of a cool, thanks for giving us that information?
I mean, I don't think his story was necessarily like super interesting, and I think, like you said, it was pretty predictable. It was cool to see Kid Cudi. But
Cool.
No, but what I did like was I like that they showed more of Solomon, the first AI that they worked on, and the kind of, they had hinted at and showed a little bit of this before, but the reconditioning that they were doing to real human beings, taking undesirables and trying to change them. It only had a 90% failure rate, right? It's only a 10% success rate, and so, I think I think one of us had mentioned it weeks ago, but potentially that was what was happening with Caleb, that he was, schizophrenia ran in his family. He was unreliable, et cetera, et cetera. I honestly thought like his whole military background was a lie, so I was surprised that most of that was actually accurate.
Oh, interesting. It was reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I thought like, oh, he does have the military background, which I suppose makes sense. That explains why he is a capable, gunman and fighter and can do these types of things. The twist I did like was the app being part of the control, the drugs being part of the control. I think that really delves nicely into our own society, right, where you have a lot of these conspiracy theorists that are like, everything is part of the control. The reason they make technology like this is because it's all trying to control you. I don't know if it necessarily in real life works that well, but I think there are those unintentional consequences where it's like this and this go along and help you do this and this goal. But so I thought that was cool. And it's interesting to me then that the fact that the people that were rehabilitated are the people that use this app. So that means like Marshawn Lynch was one of the 10% that was
An outlier. Is that what they call them?
An outlier that was reconditioned. The same thing with Lena Waithe's character. So they were reconditioned correctly to then bring in more of these outliers.
But are they really reconditioned, or are they just adjusted to be used in the system, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
I mean, they don't serve a purpose beyond being used to fix other people, right? And ultimately, it seems like the 90% of them are either murdered or put on storage, essentially.
Right.
Personally, and this sounds terrible, but like from a business standpoint, wouldn't it just make more sense to just kill them? Like, why? I don't understand why you'd keep them, because it's more humane. I mean,
well, and think about business, right? If you have product, if you just toss it away, you can't do anything with that product.
so you're saying the people of the product,
Correct.
right?
So
I
it's
guess
like,
that makes sense.
It's
like-
they might have a purpose.
Right,
Well,
right.
it's
Like,
like- it's
it
like-
goes back to exactly what I just said, which is the 10% that were reconditioned are then being
Have a use.
Have a use. Yeah, that
right.
makes sense.
It's like that's how chocolate milk was created, right? They didn't want to throw away a bunch of spoiled milk, and if you repasteurize milk, it still has a slightly sour taste. So you add flavoring to get rid of that sour taste, and you can resell it.
Yeah. Same thing with whey protein. Whey protein is.
I'm sorry. Back up. What? Chocolate milk is all sour milk?
That is how chocolate milk. That's how flavored milk
Started.
came to
Oh.
exist.
Whey
And if you buy it from the store, right? If you buy like a carton of chocolate milk, you'll notice it's thicker because it was sour milk before.
Ew. I'm never. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Also, same thing with whey protein. Whey protein is like basically ground up meat that has been thrown away. Like it was going to waste, and so supplement companies were like, "Well, we can actually make some money off of this discard that is going to be worth nothing."
So
and then the whole protein, how much protein you need, whole thing's marketing hype.
So basically,
Hot dogs,
so,
bacon,
wait,
all those things.
So
are
you're
just
basically saying then the people in Westworld, the outliers, are sour milk.
And whey protein and bacon and hot dogs.
That's a weird way of putting it, but okay. Moving through this whole thing. So that's Caleb. We one of the interesting things that I had read actually from Gizmodo, they always do like a spoiler, like post kind of analysis of the episode, and their biggest thing from the episode, and I kind of like this because it is one thing that we've talked about quite a bit, and it's the now man in white, Mr. Crazy, Mr. Loco.
Oh yeah.
His purpose, along with Bernard's purpose,
Don't know what it is.
up until this point has been primarily pretty useless, pretty pointless. They're there to kind of assist when telling us what's going on, but beyond that, it doesn't feel like yet it's connected to the story at all. And we're second to last. We have the last episode next week, this coming Sunday. I really, really hope that we're not going to be kind of screwed here, and their entire purpose and that entire thing is just being pushed off to season 4, which was obviously recently announced, but I could see that happening. What do we think?
Yeah, I'm not too thrilled with their arc. I was hoping when they put Bernard and Stubbs together, they would have served as sort of like this buddy cop sort of an angle, and they've done that a tiny little bit, right? We see them in very short spurts, and like you said, their only purpose so far seems to be sort of explaining and discovering things about Dolores, right? And they're playing catch up the whole time, and it's almost like they're just reinforcing perhaps some of the information that we've missed, right? Or repackaging it in a different way. So yeah,
They are there. Yeah, you're exactly right. They're there to explain.
They're Wikipedia basically.
Yeah.
They're the Wikipedia of the show.
You digest the scene. You're like, wait, what happened? And then they literally in this episode was like, wait, what just happened with Caleb? What are they talking about? Like reprogramming human beings. And then they literally would cut to them.
Conveniently.
And then they were in the reprogramming facility and would explain that this is what was happening.
Do we think there's a time difference between them and Dolores?
Yeah, I actually do.
They're the future.
You
right?
still think there's a time thing?
Yeah,
I think
because
they're the
you
future,
haven't,
right?
and you know what? You know what's still funny? You haven't, you still didn't see Caleb and Maeve in the same place at the same time in this episode, ever.
No, but you see Caleb at the end go up to Dolores.
You see him coming out of a room. You don't actually see him go up to Dolores' body or Maeve, for that matter.
Doesn't he reach down and touch? I thought he reached down and touched Dolores.
No, because before that,
I don't remember that.
He exits the room and then you hear that voice.
You hear the mysterious voice saying,
yeah.
like, blah, 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 blah.
I've got some plans.
So
or some
honestly,
stuff for you to
the
do.
reveal I thought they were going for was Caleb wasn't real. So what was actually
there's still
happening?
time.
So what I actually thought was happening with Caleb this entire time, and because they talked about, like, Dolores talked about, like, you kill yourself here in 6 years, and they actually kept showing the image of him, like, sitting on the pier on the edge. So I actually thought he was dead. So I thought he physically had died, and this was a version of Dolores. Remember, there's still the 5th Pearl out there. We don't know where that Dolores is, right?
Okay.
That 5th Pearl is in a simulation with Caleb and some other people, and
Sims. She's
you
in
know,
The Sims.
and so it would actually go along with my theory that Caleb is a guest in a park. He's a guest in a simulation who is dead.
So it's like his consciousness was uploaded into a server or something?
Correct.
I
And then
mean,
he's
it's still
being
possible, right?
Yeah.
Because we ran this entire game, if you will. We even went to like a place that looks very much like Westworld. That's the same place they shot season
Westworld.
1 too. But whatever. The facility and everything in Solomon, that could all still be a simulation. Her figuring out a plan, like she could have recreated everything
Yeah.
and part of the AI in this elaborate simulation or whatever. The only thing or problem with that theory is like we know that Bernard has said to William that Caleb is the point of interest for Dolores because she wants to use Caleb as the poetic justice to help destroy humanity. She wants a human to destroy humanity.
Right.
And that makes sense for who she is and what she is. And it feels kind of silly that it feels bizarre that he would say and go into that kind of depth if it turns out that he's just a sim.
There's still something that doesn't line up though, and it's like I can't put my finger on what it is because Sarek was briefly in this episode as like a simulation,
As a hologram.
and his whole shtick this whole season, right, has been he's a hologram everywhere,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Part of me feels like Sarek isn't real. He
Yeah.
is the AI. Like the real Sarek died, or like remember they said one of the brothers was committed. Maybe Sarek was the actual brother that was committed, and the schizophrenic brother was alive, and the AI is the thing that's controlling him and using the Sarek image as like a
Or the
puppet.
schizophrenic brother had Sarek put away, and then
Yeah.
he kept Sarek alive. Air quotes.
That actually makes so much sense. Like,
But then- but
doesn't
then-
make sense. It makes sense that the AI is controlling everything
Sure.
with this
Well,
persona.
but there's two AIs, remember? So, and that was kind of solidified in
right.
this episode.
That's a good point.
Solomon's the original one, and then
Sarek is the new one.
Robohan.
RoboCop
What?
is the next.
The other one,
current
the newer one, it starts with an R. It's like a Rohan or
Robohan,
Robohan or something
something
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
The Insight. The
Insight,
Insight.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Let's just call him
that's
Insight.
But the thing though is like with Solomon, you could argue is dead with the EMP blast going off.
So then, who was the voice?
Well, the voice I'm gonna assume is like Solomon put all the information needed in that USB drive.
Right.
So I don't know how that USB drive could have tapped into like that system that Caleb's got in his. Human beings have that weird upper retainer looking
Oh,
thing.
the retainer.
Yeah, it could have tapped into that, tapped into his phone.
Or
speaker mode.
Caleb's crazy. He doesn't exist. No one cares. I'm sorry.
Well, you have 4 factions right now, right? In this show,
Oh God, another one.
the main ones you have are Dolores and Sarek, right? And a lot of the characters fall under those sides. But then you also now have these 2 roguish elements, and that is Haloris,
Who?
Hale's
who
Dolores.
got a brief cameo in this
Charlotte
episode.
Hale. Right.
Who got a brief cameo in this one, talking to the Shogun World Dolores
Yeah.
before he died.
Matsui? Was that something like
Not
that? Yeah.
Matsui.
Hid-
Matsui is a
Hideki
baseball
Matsui?
player.
Yeah, not Hideki.
So you have her still running around and doing stuff. Then you also have
Bernard.
the Team Bernard Stubbs, who Bernard is like us. He has no idea what he's doing. He has no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
He's just following. He even said in this episode, he's like, "This is where she led me to." So he doesn't really know what he's doing.
He also refuses to kill the guy who was promised to kill all hosts,
Yeah.
which is a bad move on his part.
Does anyone think that Bernard is actually the 5th Dolores?
Yes.
No.
Yes, because I don't. I guess the big question is like, he has served no purpose, and his purpose right now just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And we know from the beginning of the episode that there's parts of his memories and all that fun stuff that's been blocked. Remember when he was actually in Westworld, he plugged into the system? It was shown and through his like self-diagnostic that there was some tampering here and there, which I think means that there is a Dolores type consciousness or something melded together with that Bernard. I think Bernard is done. And the OG Bernard that we grew to love in season 1, he's been gone since the end of season 2.
The only reason I disagree with that is because then the first 2 seasons of Bernard's arc make no sense, right? Like the second season's all about him becoming conscious and becoming that thing and then becoming the foil to Dolores. Why would if Dolores' plan was to like completely take over and not be opposed, she should have left him behind. But she wanted him for some reason to balance her out because I guess she recognized that her way wasn't going to do it. So that is, I guess, what I go back to with Bernard, right? He is part of her plan. No one knows in what way, though.
This totally feels like a typical HBO moment. Specifically that wonderful show Game of Thrones where it's like, hey, let's throw this character who takes the disabled Stark kid and have him like flow around the whole fucking island and then you never see her again for no like it feels like one of those things that they've put into play and it will never
The dangling plot thread.
Yeah, exactly. They'll just never tie it in. And I really hope that doesn't happen, but HBO's, they're 2-0 right now.
The only reason I think it's a little different with this show is they haven't abandoned plot lines yet. Everything has had some type of explanation and conclusion. Granted, some of them are very bad and choppy, but there have been full arcs. This isn't like Game of Thrones where they were adapting a book and then they ran out of the adaptation and didn't know what to do.
This I believe
It's
is an original project.
Well,
right?
Westworld is
No, Westworld was
it's a
that
book.
1970. Or
was a
this is
book
based off the movie,
by
which is based off the
Michael
book.
Crichton.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then it was a
forgot
movie.
about that.
Yep.
But they are. I mean, they've been in uncharted waters basically since past episode 3. You know what I mean?
Here's a big question, like as we're gearing up for the final episode, right, of season 3, which takes place in the real world. Does this feel like Westworld anymore, or does this feel like you could potentially start in season 3 and have a general idea of what's going on without having to watch season 1 and 2.
That's very interesting.
I would say this almost feels like a spin-off of Westworld.
Ah,
Like you're taking some of the elements and characters. Like it almost feels like you always get those continuation spin-offs of shows. It's like the sequel.
oh, like the
and-
Arrowverse, like the Arrow,
Yeah.
the Flash.
Well,
the
Stargate
Supergirl.
Atlantis.
No, but it's one of those shows where you're right. You could start with season 3 and probably know as much as we do.
Yeah, seriously.
But it doesn't feel like Westworld because it doesn't take place in the parks. It's not it has some of the same fundamentals, but it is different. There's a lot of new characters. There is a little bit of new ideology. But some of the basics of the show are still in there. The twists, unreliable narrators, man versus machine, free will, consciousness. A lot of those core themes are still there.
Yeah.
But a lot of the packaging and everything is very different.
Yeah. So I would agree. It's still Westworld. It's just not. It's
It's
like
not
you said.
Westworld.
It's like you said. It's the core stuff is there. Everything you just said, and the packaging is different. And but it doesn't. To me, it's not answering those core questions as effectively as it did in the first 2 seasons. I don't know if that's because there are more elements to get in, and there are more new characters, and instead of answering those core fundamental questions, they're spending more time on more of the mystery of the stuff, like who are the Doloreses, and who is who. We spent more time in this season trying to figure out who is who than we are on the stuff that I think makes Westworld interesting, right? Which is, what is the difference between a host and a human?
Yeah.
Right? And maybe they decided, we've already answered that question. There is none, right? And they're like, let's just move on. But to me, that's still a more compelling question and situation than the let's follow the crumb trail of trying to figure out who is who.
Well, I think,
Real quick, let's just pause down because you've got sex education up on there.
yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, but do you want that on the screen the entire time?
Sex education. Not having not watched it. We do have a question from our Twitch when Jenny gets back.
What's the question?
From Miko Matter, good friend of the podcast, Michael Learman. Do you guys think that Dolores is the hero or the villain? I think that's a great question going into the last episode of the season.
Yeah,
So,
we'll save that one, I think.
You save it?
Yeah, let's save that question for the last episode.
I think we should
can
answer
start
it now.
to answer
yeah.
it though.
I think
I
it's
think-
perfect now.
I think 7 episodes in, it depends. I think the show has done a really, really great job of balance. It depends on the character's perspective you're looking at from. From the perspective of a character like Halloris
Hail
Charlotte
Dolores.
and Maeve, she's totally the villain, right?
Yeah.
They're both hosts, and she is being very selfish and trying to is making it about her, and it feels like it's undermining her, undermining them as a race, as a people. If you look at it from Dolores' point of view, and when she's on screen and she explains it to someone like Caleb, she totally looks like the hero, right? She's trying to make her people survive. She's trying to do X, Y, and Z. She's sacrificing herself, right? She's cloned herself 5 times and having these people die. So from that perspective, she's a hero, but she's also a villain.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say. I agree. It depends on what angle you're looking at for. I'm gonna go with the villain because I think at the end of the day, no matter which angle you're looking at it from, she ultimately is trying to wipe out the human race, which is really no better than the human race itself. Like what she's trying to accomplish and how she's trying to go about it is literally she's not elevating her people at all. She is just doing. Her flaw is very human in my mind, right? The only way for me to survive is to wipe out everything that's not me, right? At least if we're to believe Bernard that's what she's trying to do with Caleb, right? We're still not 100% sure that we can trust Bernard's perspective. Everything that Bernard has said, oh, she brought me here to check her. Oh, she wants Caleb to destroy the human race because she has a poetic sense of justice. Well, Bernard's not the most reliable person. Is that actually true?
Neither is Dolores, though.
Correct. So, what we're left with, though, is her actions, and it seems like she's bent on the rise of her people and the end of humanity, right?
But I don't know if that makes you a bad person, though.
No, it's not bad. Villain, right?
Antagonist.
She's the antagonist to the human race.
I would say
now, it depends on what perspective. Are you on side of humans or are you team host?
I would
guess?
say it's. I don't know if she's an antagonist or a protagonist. I would say she's just a force.
She's both. Well, she's definitely both, right?
Yeah.
She's definitely one of the main protagonists of the show. We see a lot of the show from her point of view. For the majority of the other protagonists, though, she is the direct antagonist. She's the direct force in their way to fulfilling
Stopping
their
their
character
motivations,
arc and their
right.
motivations.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've always kind of liked though about the show, right? It
Sure.
jumps upon the idea of good versus evil, of right and wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Not even that though, but I think phrasing it this way, protagonist and antagonist, because you can't, with the show you kind of have to throw good and bad out the window.
Yeah,
And you really have to just decide which agenda, which is great, because shades of gray, right? Which agenda do you back? It's almost like politics. Which political party are you backing, right?
Spaghetti monster.
It's like whose agenda do you most back, and then answer the question from that way. Who's the protagonist? Who's the antagonist? But
Makes sense.
yeah, we'll find out. I think more next week.
Yeah, next week I think next week will be a very, very interesting podcast because not only is it the season finale of Westworld, but we will also be hitting upon the season and series finale of Clone Wars.
It's not the season finale. There's still 2 more episodes.
2 more episodes. Yeah,
For what?
Clone
Clone
Wars.
Wars.
It's this Friday and Monday. We tape these things on Monday evening.
Wait,
So-
the last episode's on Monday.
There's 2 episodes of Clone Wars. Though.
Yeah, this Friday and then Monday, May the 4th.
Oh, they're doing the finale on May the
Yes.
4th.
Yes. You ruined my segue.
ruined it.
1,000%.
Well,
you
you
ruined it
keep
yourself.
doing this.
You did
Just
it
let me
yourself.
Yeah.
get to the point.
You should have told us when.
No,
the
no,
finale
it's
was.
a surprise. Just like the intro, it's a surprise. Anyway,
That you're gonna have these moments.
Yeah.
we're gonna let's wrap up the Westworld stuff. So let's move into Clone Wars. Arjuna was Westworld. That episode that we watched, good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's good. I do like what the season's done. I think this season, I would like to in a few months watch this binge the season. I think it would be very powerful.
It'd be a lot better.
As one sitting, and but I am intrigued and I'm interested. I think we're gonna have a better finale this year than we did 2 years ago for season 2.
Wow.
Krishna, was it good?
I'm gonna say yes. I think I've said the last few weeks were good, and I enjoyed this episode far more than those episodes. So it is good. Technically, it's great. I think the acting is wonderful.
The Dolores Maeve battle or fight scene, by the way, was beautiful. Like
It was pretty good. Yeah, that wasn't my favorite part of the episode.
her arm getting blown off was pretty cool.
That was cool. I mean, I was
It was
kinda
cool.
shocked.
CGI looked like shit.
Yeah.
I mean, but this show's never had like. I mean, it's a TV show. It's not going to have.
It's
You know.
Westworld
I
on
mean,
HBO.
I don't know. Arjuna.
It
Like,
deserves the
first
best.
season with how they build the hosts. That CGI is very, very beautiful and very, very well done. That arm blowing off just looked very yucky.
After Effects. Anyways, yeah, it was good. Ravi, was episode 7 of Westworld season 3 good?
No, mostly because we could, as we were watching the episode, we were calling out what was going to happen next, which we did with another video film thing that we watched, Extraction. So for that
Wow.
reason alone, it kind of annoyed the hell out of me because we could just sit there and go, "That's going to happen. That's going to happen. That's going to happen." Cool.
Interesting.
So
Does that mean he's going to say the other thing was good?
Extraction.
We'll find
We'll
out.
find out in a little bit.
Oh, that one's gonna be hot button. I can't wait for that.
So that was Westworld. So we're moving into Clone Wars. We just finished season 7, episode 10. We are in the
end game.
The brunt? It's brunt?
The end game.
The end game of the Siege of Mandalore.
So it's a layup for him. Didn't take it.
Why would I do end game?
Why not? Do
Avengers
that game?
was trending.
I
Avengers
don't
was
care about that.
Wow.
So we're in the end game.
God, I hate you.
We're in the end game of the Clone Wars series, which this episode in particular made it very clear. The Clone Wars is over. The Revenge of the Sith is
Has
happening.
begun, which
We
is
are
dope.
by the end of this episode, we are about halfway through Revenge of the Sith, right? Quick major spoilers, right? We know for a fact Dooku's head is rolling
Yeah.
on a separatist ship.
Dooku's dead at this
He's
point.
straight up dead.
I mean, that's kind of implied with his head rolling.
Well,
My
is
head
it
doesn't
though?
roll.
Can't
Well, no,
you
his
roll
head-
on certain drugs?
Well, no.
That's a good point, actually.
You're saying it just happened. No, his head it rolled.
Had been rolling.
The blood has dried. The ship is blown up. The body is incinerated. He's been dead for a
Hey,
while.
he got a Jedi going out. Never mind, that was rude. Because they burned the bodies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess he got his cremation.
he got his
in a
cremation.
weird way.
So that's happened. We know that Obi-Wan Kenobi is heading to Utapau to go after Grievous.
Yep.
We know that Anakin has been given the the rank of master, but we, the Council, do not see you as a master. So go spy on Palpatine, you whiny butthead.
Yeah.
So we are in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And this episode ends with probably the greatest thing ever. Guess what it is, you two.
Greatest thing ever. What, Maul getting captured?
No, like the fight scene. Was that not the
Oh my
best
God! Yeah.
lightsaber fight scene you have ever seen? That is up there in my books with.
It's not the best ever, but it's definitely top 3.
I think it's the best ever.
Yeah, I understand that, but to me though, that lightsaber fight cannot surpass the OG Maul versus Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah,
Qui-Gon
yeah,
Jinn
yeah.
fight.
But it's
Oh, you mean
it's-
animated?
Yeah,
You mean
animated.
just strictly
just straight up.
animated?
Just straight
It's the
up.
best.
It's
By
the
far.
best. It's
By
the best.
far. Yeah.
The animation quality.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
If you want to know how to do CGI well, follow along the Clone Wars series because they have done a fantastic job from the beginning to where it is now.
Not the movie.
Not the movie. Fuck the movie.
No, that's an example
the
of
movie
where it
is
started, right?
stupid. But like the lightsaber fights, the most interesting thing with their animation style is how way back in season 1 and 2 the lightsaber fights were very choppy. It was very like whoosh, 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 right? And instead it's now this very smooth and fluid lifelike motion. That to me was the most impressive and most interesting and crazy ass thing I saw in this episode.
So how many years until they go back and they remaster some of the earlier Clone Wars?
Never.
Do it, please.
No, they
I'd
will.
be. I think that is okay to do because it's an animation style that is like this corny CGI type looking thing,
Mhm.
and you're just going to make it more realistic and more interesting.
Yeah.
We've seen that with like video game properties like Halo, right? Halo 2 and then Halo 2 Remastered. You still get that intense joy from it, that interesting, gameplay and like reliving and all that fun stuff. With Star Wars, the original series, going back and remastering it, I don't think it worked as well because you're fucking with real things as opposed to like CGI
Or people's like on-screen acting.
or their
Yeah.
on-screen acting.
I do want to say about Maul. I think he's been involved in 3 of the most iconic Star Wars lightsaber battles.
Yes.
Events
time.
of all time, right?
Yep.
The Qui-Gon Obi-Wan Maul
Yep.
battle, the Ahsoka Maul battle. Oh, I guess 4. The Star Wars Rebels Vader Maul Ahsoka Kanan battle.
I forgot about that one.
That one's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's technically right. I mean, I guess whatever happens in these next 2 episodes, that's probably the next time Ahsoka sees Maul.
Yeah.
Well-
one would assume.
One would assume. I mean, it's very possible because Maul's history is just so Maul. It's really interesting when you look at Maul and you go back and you think to like 1999 when the Phantom Menace first came out. Maul was like the face of evil. He was this badass.
He was the poster.
He was the poster. He was like
Yeah.
everything. Everything was all in on Maul, and then you leave the movie theater and Maul's dead, and you're like, the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's what is it? 20 fucking years later, and we finally understand this character. I hate to admit this, but I hate 7, 8, and 9. Like, I don't like those films. But something tells me in about 20 years, I will go back and be like,
Wow.
If they do it right. And then the fourth.
somebody will. Somebody will do it right. Dave
Ah,
Filoni
hopefully.
did it.
Dave Filoni
Somebody
can do
else-
it again. Dave Filoni will do it again.
No, let's do
Why not us?
David Lynch.
Let's do it, guys. We'll
David Lynch almost directed Return of the Jedi, and then instead went and did Dune. Found that out today. It's very interesting. Anyway, carry on. What's the fourth?
and then the
one?
fourth one is also from Rebels. It's Darth Maul's last seemingly death. The Darth Maul
Agreed.
Obi-Wan
Samurai
samurai fight,
Yeah.
where they don't. There's very little battle, but it's just so intense and so well done. So, just like you said, credit to this character who was literally had one line of dialogue, who was built up to be this big thing, was chopped down unceremoniously and killed, and has been resurrected to be one of the greatest Star Wars characters
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah. He's up there like when the kiddies back in the 70s and early 80s first saw Star Wars, the big villain, the big menacing thing was Vader.
Sure.
I believe that Disney has done a very good job of turning the big scary thing into Maul. Like, he is a scary, what the fuck is that thing, right? I have that amazing picture. This is embarrassing. Can't remember who the artist is. Don't at me. But I have an amazing picture of Maul, which is just horrific because he's a scary dude.
Yeah.
And he's crazy.
He does scary things. And he legitimately is insane.
But going back to the battle between Ahsoka and Darth Maul, what did you guys think? And I think this was maybe lost on audience members. Maul reveals to Ahsoka that Anakin Skywalker is a bad guy. And she straight up says, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right, because she let her emotion get in the way. Big time.
Yeah.
100%. She did the thing that the Jedi aren't supposed to do. Granted, she's no longer a Jedi, but she did that one crucial thing that can fuck everything up.
Get attached?
She got super attached to her master, to her older brother, to her mentor, to this person that's like helped her grow up and become the person she is today. So of course she's never going to be like, oh yeah, he's a bad dude.
Well, and she was also this close to teaming up with Maul to take down Sidious. Remember, he's like, join me, and she's like, okay, I will. Just tell me one thing. Why Anakin Skywalker? And then he's like, oh, he's bad. And she's like, no, you're wrong. And then they fight.
Yep.
But I think, maybe I misinterpreted it, but I think she was truly like about to join Darth Maul and be like, all right, let's go hunt down Sidious.
Oh, definitely strongly consider it, yeah.
And it makes sense because the conversation that she has with Obi-Wan before that is super crucial, which was, Dooku is dead. He was the only lead we have to this Darth Sidious thing. She has known because, remember,
that's a good point.
Obi-Wan, at the start of the Clone Wars on Geonosis during Episode 2, while he was captured by Dooku, Dooku told Obi-Wan about this Darth Sidious character. So since she started as a Padawan under Anakin and in conjunction with Obi-Wan Kenobi, she has known about this character, Darth Sidious, and this evil plot. So I think it makes complete sense that she would be like, yeah, I'll team up with the devil to figure out who the hell and what this plot is.
I will break bread with the devil.
But the problem is she let her
Emotions.
freaking emotions get in the way, which makes it even more fascinating when you look ahead to Rebels and when she realizes who Darth Vader is.
Yes.
Like, just we haven't finished the season yet. We don't know what's going to happen. But just take the fact that she had a chance and then her fear or her denial came true.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't recommend doing this now because if you don't want to spoil these last two episodes, but you can go back and watch Rebels. Specifically the Ahsoka season 2 season when Rex comes in, when they fight Maul again. There is a lot of hints as to what's to come in these last two episodes with Ahsoka, with Maul, and with Rex specifically. Like, these are probably our three main characters for these last two episodes. I would assume.
Yeah.
We know Order 66 is coming. We know Rex survives Order 66, and there's things he says in Rebels that indicate certain things are going to happen.
What does he say? I forget.
I know about like Wolf and the other clone and how Ahsoka saved them.
Fives?
Not Fives or Echo, somebody else.
So
Rando.
the specific line they say is they never turned on their masters. They never killed it. Like they said, because when Kanan first sees them and they have the clone walker or whatever on that desert planet, whatever it was, I forget what planet that was. They're like, he's like, oh, clones, they killed all Jedi. And they're like,
yeah.
we never turned on our masters. Like, and then they show the scars where they removed the implants. Correct me if I'm wrong. They still have their implants
In it this
right
point.
now.
Yeah.
So
we know that Ahsoka's going to do some surgery with the lightsaber or something. Here's something interesting. During the original promotion for Season 7, one of the most iconic images of the original trailer was a shot of some figure in the foreground, Ahsoka standing on a table, Rex on the ground, helmet off, and clearly in some kind of mental pain, as if Order 66 was coming on, or post-surgery. Maul's been captured. right? If I had to guess, Maul's not going to be a thing by the end of the next episode. He'll be done. Who do we think that shadow figure is about to attack Ahsoka?
I gotta look this up.
I think it's Maul still.
You still think it's Maul?
And there's another line specifically
Yep.
from Rebels, if you guys want me to reveal.
Go for
when
it.
Maul sees Ahsoka, he said, I think like he says Ahsoka Tano. He's like, running away again. And that's the key line, because when people saw that with Rebels, they're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, when did she run away from Darth Maul?
Right.
It's about to potentially make sense here. Because this is what I'm going to assume happens, right? If I had to guess. They're flying back to Coruscant to turn Darth Maul in. Order 66 comes in. All of the rebels, or all the clones, turn their blasters onto Darth Maul and Ahsoka. In that chaos and confusion, Maul sets himself free, kills some guys. Ahsoka and him battle, and she has to run away because she probably doesn't want to kill clones, and she can't also battle Maul at the same time. That's what I'm saying. And she probably wants to save Rex and as many of these cloners as she can.
Do we think, couple other questions here, do we think Sidious and Maul are going to talk one more time before this season wraps?
I'm gonna say no, but only because I think they probably want to keep this focused on what's going on in Mandalore.
I would also say no, because I believe, like, wouldn't Sidious just straight up kill Maul at this point?
Remember, Sidious is all about throwing everything into chaos, right? And doing whatever.
Actually, I disagree.
Well, the other thing too is, like, we know by the events of Solo, Maul is still running the underworld during that time period, right? The underworld is a very big thing in the Star Wars universe. There's no way, in my mind, that Sidious would allow Maul to be running all those syndicates. Like, he would have to know that Maul's around. So I wonder if Sidious is like, you know what? You clearly love me way too much. Go do your own crazy thing. Just leave me alone.
I don't think he loves him. I think he
Well,
despises him, honestly.
I think his thing is,
Because he wants to kill Sidious. He straight up said, like, I need to kill Sidious. He hates Obi-Wan, obviously, because he cut him in half. He hates Darth Sidious. This is the reason he's so scary is he completely feeds into hatred, right? More so than any other Dark Force user you see at all in Star Wars, especially the Maul we have now, right? He's completely into hatred. He's completely into just fucking over anyone that fucked him over. I think what you're probably going to say about Sidious is he's more calculated.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Everything Sidious does has an end goal. I would flip what you said. Maul is chaotic. Sidious is totally, like, calculating and logical and forward-thinking, and everything has a reason. He uses hatred as a tool. Maul just is hatred.
So you don't think, though, that Sidious is going to set him free?
He might allow him to. He might.
I mean,
maybe. I just
just
don't see it.
To me, it just doesn't make sense that we're in the time period of Solo. He is running the underworld.
Yeah.
And Sidious would allow it. Because remember, at the point of Solo, they have a sizable, like, organized, like, the Empire has Inquisitors running around. They are pretty strong. They're ready to go. So I don't know. It just doesn't make sense that you would allow this thing to be running around. Plus, also the other big thing too, I guess, is like Sidious never attempted to really kill Maul. Like when Maul and Sidious fought back in season 4 or 5,
when he kills Savage.
When he kills Savage, he captures him. He doesn't kill him. So there is some plan still for Maul in some aspect.
I think he just views him as a tool. It's like I can use him.
Right.
I can manipulate him. It's not hard.
I mean, also speaking of, we did get a cameo from Solo of Paul Bettany's character, Dryden Voss.
Yeah,
Boss. Yeah.
Boss.
Yep.
Boss.
We've got a lot
He's
of
a hologram.
cameos in the Star Wars universe in these last couple episodes, which has been great. One cameo we didn't get, though, was our beloved Darksaber. Where is it? What is it doing?
Actually, where? Yeah, I don't,
Yeah, who has it at this
where
point?
is it at
The
this
Maul
point?
has it, right?
When's the last time we
no,
see it?
no. Maul definitely has it because
Maul should have it, but
because
what's
Rebels is when they get it from Darth Maul.
Correct.
So yeah, where is it?
But this is the thing. The last time we actually see the Darksaber in the Clone Wars series is season 5
Wait, with Maul.
with Maul. But remember, Maul is captured So that Darksaber could be on whatever base, or it could be back with the Mandalorians. Because what's interesting is
It's
Maul,
got to be with the Mandalorians.
it has to be because Maul used his double bladed lightsaber and not the Darksaber.
Or to feed into your theory, it could be with Sidious.
Well, but remember
And-
though, it's going to get into that governor's hands because he's going to use
Well,
it.
that's
in
but that's
Mandalorian.
post Rebels and everything.
Yeah. So
So well, no, all we need to do now is figure out
Yeah.
where it is from now to Rebels when they fight Maul and Sabine
Oh, yeah, that's a
and,
good point.
and everyone
That's
gets
Maul
it.
eventually gets it, and he takes it back to Dathomir, and he leaves it on that planet
in Rebels,
in Rebels. Because that's where Sabine picks it up and finds it.
Sabine.
No, but I mean to break into your theory, right? If Sidious is going to appear, I believe Ahsoka with Maul is taking him to the Jedi Council, right? Which means, in theory, Ahsoka is on her way to Coruscant.
Yes.
Which, if it lines up with Episode 3, she could be just missing Anakin right at the end, right? Like, he's already murdered all the children, and she's going to show up at that time.
Or to debunk a longtime fan favorite meme, which is Anakin going into the council chamber with all the younglings and lighting his lightsaber. Maybe she jumps in there and saves the younglings.
No, it makes no sense because she doesn't know that Anakin is Darth
Right.
Vader. She thinks he's dead.
Right. But remember the line she says, the last time I saw my master was...
He was running off to go save...
Right. It's very possible that she thought she killed him, or she heard of the reports of what happened on Mustafar, or Obi-Wan Kenobi said, I killed him on Mustafar. He dead. Like, there's a little bit of gray there, and...
It's not like Star Wars hasn't done that before.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
The other thing too is like I was watching a YouTube video today about the Darth Vader comic book series. I forget what episode it was, but it was posted about 4 months ago, and it was specific about the librarian in the Jedi Temple. Following the immediate events of Mustafar and Darth Vader putting his armor on, he goes back to the Jedi Temple to go and look for the librarian because Sidious wanted her because he wanted the list of all the Jedis that were still potentially out there in the universe, the kids and all that. And she, the librarian, realizes who Darth Vader is and reveals the secret to the clone troopers that are with him. And he kills all the clone troopers by force blowing them out of the plane or the chopper or whatever, because he wants to keep that secret.
The chopper.
So I think Vader's secret of being Anakin is basically he knows, and then we know that Boba Fett eventually finds out, and we also know that Sidious knows. But it's a very small group of people.
And Obi-Wan knows.
Yeah.
Does Obi-Wan know before like going and seeing him in Episode 4?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely knows. I mean, it's strange because he doesn't even call him Vader. He calls him Darth, first of all. Darth.
Hello, Darth.
I'm going to kill you.
Hello, Darth. When last we met,
We're
So-
not a boy.
Krishna
you were on fire. Yeah.
was Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 10 good?
Do we even need to ask this question?
No,
of course it was.
Yeah, it's good for me too.
No, it was.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
was
not
great.
the
It was
question.
great.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I can't wait for the last 2 episodes, which I did not know were going to be Friday and Monday on May the 4th.
Oh yeah, I'm taking the day off from work.
Are you gonna tweet at Disney with some tweet using May the 4th hashtag?
No, because I don't want them to own my intellectual property.
What, your tweet?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
what their terms and conditions say.
They would own the tweet.
Yeah, so just for those listening, watching,
Yeah.
today they announced Disney Plus, the Twitter account put out tweet with the hashtag May the 4th, your favorite Star Wars memory, and it may show up in something special that we're doing on May the 4th. Cool. That sounds fine. Tons of brands, tons of companies, tons of individuals do that stuff all the time. The problem came, they followed it up with a tweet that said, hey, we own your intellectual property. We can use your handle and anything that you associate with the hashtag May the 4th, we own the rights to, per Disney terms and service, blah, blah, blah. And there was a link. That's where the problem came in. They, for whatever reason, had to put that out. Working in media, there are obviously like the legal implications or whatever that you have to like worry about.
Mm-hmm.
So then people decided to start saying some really fucked up shit.
Oh boy.
Such as, like,
usual
we
garbage.
didn't go to the moon, # May the 4th.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or some individuals were like, hey, check out the Was It Good podcast tonight.
Oh, that
Wow,
was
shout out
kind
to
of
that
it.
fan.
Yeah.
Smart fan using Disney.
Mm.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. But shifting gears completely into another superstar,
Ooh.
Michael Jordan.
Into a
Miguel
Disney-owned
Jordan.
documentary.
Oh,
the
yeah,
30
ESPN.
the 30 for 30 documentary series The Last Dance, starring Michael Jordan and the late 1980s,
90s.
90s.
Well, it's the whole thing.
It goes.
the
I
whole
mean, yeah. It focuses primarily on the 1997, 1998 Bulls season.
The Chicago Bulls during a particular time period in the known human calendar.
There you go.
Krishna, you have watched both episodes.
All four.
All 4 episodes. Well, we're talking specifically episode 3 and 4 here.
Yes.
The big pieces there, the big takeaways were Dennis Rodman.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of people were asking the question of, hey, you threw Dennis Rodman and his entire thing up in about 5-10 minutes and you were kind of done with it. A lot of people are saying, hey, the response is there was another 30 for 30 documentary on Dennis Rodman. If you gave a fuck about Dennis Rodman, go watch that.
Mm-hmm.
What was your take on the whole? Did they give Dennis Rodman and his unique story enough?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think they just kind of blew past it?
No, I think it was enough. They start off with a little bit of his backstory, and then they switch gears completely and go back to young Jordan. And then Dennis Rodman is sort of woven into the rest of the last 2 episodes. Like, he pops back up. It's not like they spend 10 minutes on him and then just totally skate by.
Yeah. I did find it interesting that the first 2 episodes, they didn't use him at all.
Yeah. Well, I think...
Which is interesting.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do is go, piece by piece. Because Phil Jackson gets his 10, 15 minutes at the beginning of episode 4. So it feels like and Scottie Pippen was episode 2, a little bit, right?
Well, Phil Jackson was in episodes 1 and 2.
Everyone, they're all in most of them,
Dennis
except for
Rodman,
Dennis Rodman.
Rodman has no talking. in
That's
the
because
one
Dennis
too.
Rodman is like the 4th wheel, right? Yeah,
guess
they're
that's true.
prioritizing the most important parts of the
And he came
championships.
later. He came in the second. Like, he wasn't there for the first 3.
Correct. So it makes sense, I had no problem with it. Dennis Rodman's an interesting guy. The stuff that they, to say the least. And, I like what they put in there. So, yeah, I didn't have a problem with it.
What about Carmen Electra?
And
trending
Madonna, too.
on on social.
On social?
Yeah, I haven't watched the 2 episodes yet. I didn't get
Yeah.
around. I wanted to, but I didn't get around to it. Like, why? Like, what? In your estimation, why was that such a big talking point for the doc?
Well, it was mostly jokes, to be honest, if you're looking at Twitter.
Okay.
Madonna, I love that they put Madonna in. She's only in it for literally a line. But they portray her as a big reason why Dennis Rodman came out as this very eccentric person. She basically told him while they were together, life's too short, you got to be yourself, no matter what. And after that, he started dyeing his hair and being this goofball, right? So she's like a big reason, part of his transformation from kind of a regular ball player to this outlandish figure, Kim Jong-un's best friend. Carmen Electra is his famous girlfriend during the height of his party days, his craziness. And the reason that she's in it because they relay the story that he takes what should have been a 48-hour vacation. Scottie Pippen's returned from his injury. He's now the 3rd wheel again. He really enjoyed playing second fiddle. Like, he liked being relied on. He did it well. He helped the Bulls overcome a slow start. Then Scottie Pippen returns. He starts to lose motivation. And then he goes up to Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, and says, I need a 48-hour vacation. Actually, he says, I just need a vacation. And Phil Jackson's like, can you do it in 48 hours? That's how it was conveyed. And he's like, I'll take whatever you can give me. I'm going to Vegas. And so he goes to Vegas with Carmen Electra and just parties so hard. They blow past 48 hours at the 90-hour mark. He's back in Chicago, and Michael Jordan comes banging on his door and is like, get your ass, come on, you could get your ass to practice. Carmen Electra's in the room, and she doesn't want to be seen she's in bed, and she doesn't want to see by Michael Jordan. So she grabs a blanket, jumps off the bed, and hides behind the couch. And so she tells that story in the doc. Which is great. I think that's it's
a very human thing.
The best part is that the part that is going viral, or one of the parts, is that the film crew recorded Michael Jordan telling the story, and then they hand Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman a phone of Michael Jordan telling this story, and their faces are hilarious. They're all just cracking up. Even Dennis Rodman, they're just laughing their asses off because and this is why. Because those three figures, Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson, and Scottie Pippen, didn't try to control him at all. They realized to get the best out of Dennis Rodman and to win the championships that they needed was to let him be himself. They didn't try. They were like, he's going to be himself. Let him have his 48 hours in Vegas. Let him go nuts because, when he comes back, he's going to be the hardest worker there. And that's what they did. And that's why everyone's like cracking up, even Dennis Rodman, because it's like, and he says it. He's like, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, and Phil Jackson, they got me. They let me be me. And he appreciated it.
And that's awesome. I mean, that just shows like good management skills.
Yeah. Phil Jackson's
the
the GOAT.
Chicago Bulls. So
yeah. So, in not so many words, episodes 3 and 4 were great. I'm loving
Better than
this
1 and 2?
series. Not better. I look at the whole thing as a whole. I can't say which one's better because it's like an evolution of what they do is they go through like a couple weeks in the 97, 98 season, but then they go back in time and they're going through Jordan's career, and then all these key figures: Jerry Krause, Doug Collins, his second NBA coach, Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and they're sort of like interlaying
Charles Oakley.
like the present moment. He hasn't shown up yet, but
Well,
they'll do the
he's
dream
in the
team.
first few episodes.
Yeah, I'm sure he was mentioned there.
Because he played on those early Bulls teams before he.
I thought you said Charles Barkley.
No, Charles Oakley.
Yeah, Charles Oakley, of course, has been there. So it's really, I'm digging it, and honestly, it's the closest thing we're getting to sports right now, besides the draft.
All right, who will play Michael Jordan in a movie? Michael B. Jordan?
yes,
Nah, he's too short.
that's fine. CGI is a thing. If they get it right, that is.
Hugh Jackman played Wolverine.
I don't think you can make a
Wolverine's
Michael
supposed
Jordan.
supposed to be 5'6".
That's true. That's a good point.
So yeah, they can fudge things. Moving right along though, to the last topic of this podcast,
Ooh.
a Netflix original, Extraction, starring Chris Hemsworth,
Yes.
actor known as Thor.
Yep.
A
And some
film,
Indian guys.
a film that takes place in a different location than one would expect. India.
India.
Wow, that was weird. What information, like, before we jump into this, so this is a brand new Netflix film that,
Original, yeah.
they are just kind of pumping out because, the world's on standstill and we just need shit to watch. And we clearly were like, we're bored. Let's watch it. What back information do we know about this film? Because there are a couple of somewhat well-known Indian actors and actresses in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Was this a co-production, or was this just straight up like who the fuck made this thing?
All I know is that it seems to be an Avengers movie because the Russo fucking brothers are in it. Chris Hemsworth, I think either he or Chris Evans' former stunt double, directed it. It's a directorial debut.
Yep.
So it's essentially just the Avengers. 3. 4.
So
Seven.
the director is tight with the Russo brothers. He was the stunt coordinator on Civil War and Endgame.
Oh, it's a stunt coordinator.
The Russo brothers were the main producers on this movie. Joe Russo, one of the Russo brothers, wrote it. This is very much an American production.
So why
I can list the production companies.
No, that's fine. It's fine. Why? I guess my big question is, and being Indian, maybe I'm being hypersensitive here, but why India? Like, why was the location India? Why couldn't it have been anywhere else? Were they trying to stand out? Is that why they picked India, or is this some kind of weird political undertone thing?
No, I think they just wanted to choose that as a location. I think it was probably just for the look and feel of the movie. Because, to be honest, I didn't get the fact that it was in India. They didn't you could have put that movie anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Nothing changes. There's nothing about India itself that lends itself to the plot. I think the only reason they chose India was to put a yellow sepia tone and to get, the look and feel of that particular location. But they could have done this movie in some Detroit. They could have done this movie in, well, maybe not Detroit, but just somewhere anywhere.
Detroit.
Russia.
Yeah.
This is like any
Alabama.
True, you read the old stories of the movies done in the 60s and the 70s. Why movies were set in certain locations? because that's where they wanted to take a fucking vacation. That's why. Because I'm reading it right now. They stayed in a luxury resort in India for this production.
Yeah,
The Russo brothers and their families wanted to go take a nice vacation, film a nice little pretty little action flick for Netflix. I mean, the Russo no, but the Russo
hilarious.
The Russo brothers are, everybody wants to do stuff with them. This is their second movie that's come out since Endgame that they produced. The other one was 21 Bridges, the movie with Chadwick Boseman,
Never saw
which was god awful.
Oh, you saw it, right?
Oh my god, that was it has this awful line in it where this one guy says, "You're the best like trigger man in all of New York." He's like, "Don't say that too fast."
Wow.
So what is to recap the whole movie here? It's basically a drug lord's son is captured by another drug lord. The police are bad. Hemsworth, his character, has to go save him. He dies. Maybe. Who cares? I think the more interesting thing is the fact that the Russo brothers are attached to this.
Really?
Have the Russo brothers? But seriously, have the Russo brothers peaked with Endgame? And now it's just cash in on the checks and be done with it.
Correct.
That is depressing.
If you look at their filmography before and after joining the MCU, it's not impressive.
Right.
And first of all, action is not their genre. They're comedians. They did Community. They directed and wrote episodes of Community.
Right.
They directed episodes of Arrested Development. Situational comedies. They did very well.
Right.
And then, for some reason, in 2014, they got Captain America: Winter Soldier,
which was a great. It's one of the best MCU movies.
It's one of the best Marvel
In their
Cinematic
defense.
Universe movies ever made, and that blew them into this whole new direction.
Yeah.
And I think because they did that, they're like, oh, we can produce these really cool action movies.
Yeah. No.
and 21 Bridges and Extraction are not good action movies.
Well, now we have to make a distinction here. Did they direct?
No, they
21
produced them. They produced them.
Okay.
But here's the thing about production, right? Like producing, specific 21 Bridges, they did not direct or write.
Mm-hmm.
Extraction was written by one of the Russo brothers. The script was, I think, it was originally called DACA, and then they renamed it to Extraction. So they did have a lot of creative input, and then they gave their stunt coordinator from two of their Marvel Cinematic Universes the chance to direct it in his directorial.
So they're
review.
basically gearing up for a production company.
They do have a production company.
Okay.
It's called ABGO.
That
Every
makes sense.
director and their mom has. Every producer and their mom has a production company.
So.
It's a little sad because it's they did such a good job, and now it's
But
I'm guessing you guys didn't like it.
well, but here's my question, right? Did they do a good? Now this is the question about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Does the director really matter, or is it the man pulling the strings?
Kevin Feige.
And Kevin Feige.
It's Kevin Feige. It's Kevin Feige. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head where it's specifically with this film, one of them wrote it. We were literally watching this movie in real time and predicting the lines that characters would say because it's so freaking generic.
Yeah.
Right? It is the most generic action movie ever. And it's
Wow.
why? You
right.
did Winter Soldier, yeah, maybe it is Winter Soldier worked not because of the directors, it's because of Feige, and I mean the Marvel machine and the Disney machine we've seen it, right? We've seen directors and producers jump into it and be like, yeah, I want to make this thing, and then the Feige monster come in and be like, nah, you're gonna do it this way.
I think your problem might be that you're expecting more from a straight to Netflix action movie. The genre is action.
Krisha,
And
you
it's
like
straight-
Triple Frontier.
Exactly.
No, you can't
No.
say.
This is what I'm saying.
Sure.
You're expecting more than we got from a straight to Netflix action movie. That's your. First of all, action movies are notoriously not
Horribly written. Correct.
They're not. They are never great. In fact, the better written it is, the worse of an action movie
Sure.
it is, almost by default. There are very few exceptions to that rule, in my opinion. It's straight to Netflix.
I would say what the problem
There's
is.
no such thing as a good Netflix movie.
The problem is, though, it's their previous body of work when you see
Which wasn't good. We already established
Well,
that.
no, but you still have to consider. You still have to put in Winter Soldier. You still have to put in Civil War and the Avengers the movies, right?
You're
Yeah.
like up here with their caliber. Their caliber of like making stuff is like way, 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 way up here. And then they come and they make this. And here's the thing, though. It's like here's the bigger thing, the bigger question. Okay, it's a Netflix movie.
Yes.
Sure. Maybe there's not enough budget. Maybe there's not like X, Y, and Z. Then why are the Russo brothers stooping so low, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to just get this thing out? Why not go and if they truly feel like this is a good story and an interesting story and the story needs to be told?
Forget you're focused. You're hyper focusing on the Russo brothers. Forget
Yes.
forget the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
It is a straight to Netflix action movie.
Are you
Forget,
gonna say? Are you?
forget the Russo brothers.
Are you gonna say that this movie's good?
Yes.
I'm
the
throwing
action
you out.
was. There's only one thing. I went into this movie wanting one thing: good action. I knew the plot was gonna be shit. I knew the acting was gonna be You know, I was expecting it. The plot was gonna be as generic as fuck. Right? That's what I expect from a straight to Netflix action, not drama, not horror, not comedy, not sci-fi. Action movie. And so, I guess I got to ask you guys, right? What do you guys think of the action? Let's
The action
put the
wa-
focus where it belongs.
The action was great. The
Yes,
best part
thank you.
was clearly where Hemsworth was, backhanding and slapping children. That was hilarious.
Piss off.
Definitely laughed at it. But once again, my biggest thing is we were literally quoting the movie before the movie happened.
And to me,
It's like we had
that
future
made it,
sense.
That made it a very enjoyable experience.
Really?
Yes, I had fun. I had a lot of fun watching that movie because it reminds me of like Commando and like other movies from the 80s. They are bad movies, but they are so entertaining when you get the right group of people. I'm glad I watched it with you guys to watch it because we're quoting it before they even say I'm like that is great. It's like it was like watching Sinks on a plane in the theater, right? The movie
Yeah.
is garbage, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, the experience was fun,
Yeah.
but like,
And that's what I wanted from that
well,
movie.
spoiler alert! Like when I say it was it good for me?
Yeah, for sure.
It's about is this a good
Absolutely.
movie?
Absolutely.
And I could never say this was a good movie.
I
Yeah.
100% agree.
No, but I
just
but
the
I,
hyper focus on the
sure.
Russo brothers, I think,
Yeah.
is.
But I think the experience and the quality of the movie to me is like where you have to separate it, right?
Yes.
Because like the experience is fun. Like watching movies with you guys is always pretty fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, technically, it was a good movie, right? Wasn't technically no. The
The
editing
story
was good.
The story was
The
beyond.
choreography was good.
The story was
No, the
just
story. No.
stupid.
No, not the story. The technical stuff.
The technical's always good,
I didn't
though,
think
but, like-
the technical was actually that great. I thought, when we were talking about CGI for Westworld, I thought some of the CGI in this movie was bad.
I mean that
Like, some of the
12
explosions were
that
bad.
12-minute like one shot was pretty good.
That was cool.
that was amazing.
but
I wouldn't say amazing.
But here's the thing. But here's
you
well,
pulled
here-
off a great one shot.
well here's the
It's
thing.
amazing.
Well here's the thing about that one shot though. It didn't.
It didn't add.
It didn't.
Yeah.
I just felt like they did it because they're like, we're
You
doing.
were waiting
we're
for it to
doing-
end, really.
We're doing it's like we're doing a one shot
Yeah.
because we're cool. Like I actually thought the movie suffered. Like you would have had a better. It would have been better if it had a few
No.
cuts in there.
No.
Honestly.
This is how I look at it, right? The movie is so bad, so why not do stupid shit like a 12-minute one? Why not do that? Why not have David Harbour be the most predictable turncoat maybe in movie history ever?
Another MCU guy that they just poached.
Dude, oh man, the movie was so much fun. But then again, I am that bozo who says has been disappointed by this Westworld season and still thinks Triple Frontier is a good movie. I'm that guy. I recognize my
Flaw?
no, not flaws, but I recognize my voting habits aren't always there.
Aligned.
What do we
whatever.
think about a potential sequel? Because the
What? No.
movie ends where Chris Hemsworth's character gets shot a bazillion times, falls into the river, and then the kid who's being chased is at a swimming pool, and then we see a figure in the distance blurred out, or obviously out of focus, giving the potential that he survived.
I hope there's no, because as much as I enjoyed the movie, am I ever going to watch this thing again? Only to show someone new so we can make fun of it together. But do I want a sequel? Fuck no.
Yeah. You don't want a sequel with Liam Hemsworth?
I would be interested in that. That would
Why
be.
would
that would be
Liam
funny to me.
Hemsworth be in
Well,
it?
because there's a story out there that Chris and Liam want to finally do a movie together.
They haven't done one yet.
Nope.
Wow.
Put him in Avengers.
Also, Christian, just to counter your point of saying, this is a Netflix movie, the budget for this movie was $65 million.
Oh, for the love of God.
Is that high or low? I
That's
can't tell.
stupid high.
That's very high.
65 million?
65
Yes.
is
What was the
good
marketing
chunk of
budget?
change. Probably because it was Netflix, not high. That's why you put movies on.
Yeah.
65 million?
That doesn't seem high to like what movies get made for now. Really?
No, well, think about it, right? For an action, non-blockbustery movie, right?
Yeah.
But the only, Chris Hemsworth is the only guy getting paid, good money as an actor. Like, everybody else is probably getting paid.
I don't know. Who knows? I liked the.
I
like the Indian people.
I'll just say this. This is probably
He
really.
didn't get paid, though.
I think this is really fucked
Did
up.
they not?
Hold on. I think this is really fucked up to say. So whatever. All the white actors got the majority of the money. The Indian actors got pennies on the change.
How do you know that?
Hold on, and then they shot it in India because the cost would give them a whole lot more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, 65 million though doesn't.
Yeah,
seem
Chris
high for
Hemsworth
today.
took away
For an
45
action
million.
movie, for an action movie like this, that's high. And
What's
for-
another action
for
movie
a
that came out
stra-
recently?
For a
I don't
straight
even
to
know.
Netflix, that Will Smith one,
Gemini Man.
Gemini Man. So watch.
Isn't that more of a sci-fi?
That was like 100-something million.
That's still. Well, that's because there's way more CG. I mean, there's two Will Smiths.
Budget was 138.
yeah.
So I mean, this was half the price of that. What's the problem? what's the problem? Half the price, half the movie.
So, Arjuna, was Extraction good?
Fuck no. It was horrible. Christian, was Extraction good?
Yes, it was because I got everything I wanted from it. Ravi, was Extraction good? Don't care. Okay, guys, that's the episode. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
You almost had me convinced, but I'm going to go true to myself, and I'm going to say no, it was not good.
That's nice.
Yeah. So. But you had a good argument. You had a good argument.
Well, I'm glad you recognize that.
That's going to do it for us, folks. Thank you for listening. This podcast records live every Monday night. You can find it on twitch.tv/wasitgood. Podcast drops and goes live on all your podcast listening platforms Tuesday morning. You can find us on Twitter at wasitgood or on Instagram at wasitgoodbtm. Goodbye.
Farewell.
That's the end of the record. We are still streaming.
You want to kill this one?